It says go. So I think you're live now.
Yes.
And I'm gonna take myself off.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Carsonell. I have my background in public policy, and I'm a racial equity brand ambassador for Quarantine Racism Educational Services. I've also done some nonprofit work in the past, including about the issues of gun violence and racial justice. I work with my local chapter of Black Lives Matter. And tonight I'm going to be speaking about how we can teach about race without making Black students the lesson. And in doing so, how we can utilize policy to create better outcomes for students, teachers, administrators, and guardians. So, this is our team here. Dr. Al Moomin is a racial equity brand ambassador who's based in Nevada. Dr. Campbell is our founder, a former principal and educator based in New Jersey. And I'm also a racial equity brand ambassador, as I stated, and I'm based in Massachusetts. So, there have been a multitude of instances of extreme racist harassment being used as a lesson plan, especially regarding lessons about slavery. And federal policies are further normalizing the isolation of students and a disconnect between teachers, admin, students, and parents with anti DEI policies and such. So, I wanted to look at and show some statistics that discuss this issue a little bit. And I wanted to speak about the racism that Black students face and also the teaching of slavery in schools and kind of um, the overlap of that. So, 46% of Black students report experiencing racism in schools, according to a study done by the CDC in 2023. The Southern Poverty Law Center stated that 92% of students don't know that slavery is the cause of the Civil War. And on the other hand of that, only 8% of students are aware of slavery causing the Civil War. So, how do these factors play out in a classroom setting? Using Black students as a lesson while covering slavery. So, Black students have faced disproportionate dehumanizing harassment and assault from classmates and teachers during slavery lesson plans and other lesson plans about Black history. This leads to a negative classroom experience and a deep distrust with teachers and or administrators from students, parents, and other Black teachers or administrators, which then affects classroom participation and further results in isolation, depression, and frustration for Black students, parents, guardians, and Black teachers and admin from other teachers and from other members of administration. So, I wanted to speak about that again, the different impacts of the harassment leading to deep distrust and then isolation, depression, and frustration. But I kind of wanted to put it in a cycle form so we can really lay out and see how one thing leads to another. So, I also wanted to discuss some case studies because I think it's really important to get individual examples to highlight and to show people examples of these things occurring instead of just thinking about it as more of an abstract idea, showing examples that we can discuss and that we can learn from and learn how to address. So in 2019 in New York City, a fifth grade teacher held a mock slave auction as a lesson and told white students to bid on and buy Black students who were forced to pretend to be slaves. In Fort Myers, Florida, in 2021, a high school teacher told students that slaves were not whipped when they were enslaved and told students that the N word just means ignorant. In 2018, in New York City as well, a middle school social studies teacher, Patricia Cummings, forced Black students to lie on the floor for a lesson and stepped on the back of Black students, stating, "How does it feel? See how it feels to be a slave." And in Nashville, Tennessee in 2020, a fourth grade teacher assigned an assignment called Let's Make a Slave, and it was based on a 1770 speech by Willie Lynch, a slave owner, about how to control slaves. And the assignment was for the students to state how they would control a slave. So, how can we use policy to address this issue? Uh, some things that are important that we can do are to focus on local elections, school board, judges, sheriffs, and SROs, elections for them. And this is extremely important because this it really affects your day-to-day local elections and local politics. Even though state and national politics are discussed more, it's really important to focus on local elections as well, because when these incidents occur, those are going to be the people that are going to be making the decisions most directly that will make an impact on Black students. So, attending school board meetings is also important to do, and proposing solutions to various issues that you see fit. And even if something doesn't occur as a result, it's just still important to bring up different issues as they arise, because if you don't bring them up and propose solution of how to deal with it, it won't go anywhere. At least there's a path somewhat forward if you do bring up these issues and address them. So another thing that can be done is reaching out to various nonprofits, reaching out to the closest ACLU or NAACP if an incident occurs, and creating a weekend or after school history program in which Black students feel centered and heard is also important. This has been happening a lot. In Florida, it's been occurring since a few years ago when the Stop Woke Act was put out by Governor DeSantis in Florida. There was a school that was created for Black students to learn about Black history on the weekends. That was done by a nonprofit and some parents. So that's another thing that can be done to help Black students feel centered and heard, to give them a safe space if something potentially occurs in the school and nothing leads anywhere, or there's not a path forward. That's another solution. Well, not really a solution, but that's something that can be done to help Black students through these experiences. So, in conclusion, Black students have disproportionately faced racist harassment and assault from teachers and students, especially during lesson plans about slavery and about Black history in general. This leads to isolation, depression, frustration for students, parents, Black teachers, and administration, and causes a deep distrust between teachers and them and administration, and as well as it decreases class participation. So again, we can address these issues by focusing on local elections, which will affect school policies, attending school board meetings, reaching out to nonprofits, ACLU, NAACP, and others if an incident occurs, and creating a weekend or an after-school history program which centers Black students and their experiences. Those are my sources. And this is how you could contact us. I put down the quarantine racism accounts and emails, and as well as Dr. Campbell's information, Dr. Al Moomin's information, and my information. So feel free to reach out to us at any time. And thank you. Feel free to ask any questions or make any comments.